Rev up your engines!
That Honda-Nissan merger, well, it could mean more big trucks for Americans. That could be because Honda would be able to leverage Nissan's partially idled truck and SUV manufacturing infrastructure to fill gaps in the system without having to worry about tariffs. A lot of the Nissans are made in the United States. So, if they wanted to introduce a big truck, they could make it in the United States and they wouldn't get a tariff on it. Maybe that's one of the reasons that Honda and Nissan are merging. There's Nissan factories in the United States. It costs a lot of money to build a factory, right? Well, they're already here. And Honda's been building cars in Ohio and other parts for decades. And they do a good job, right? So maybe Honda's thinking we can take over those factories and start making vehicles that Americans want. Big trucks, big SUVs. Hey, that might not be a bad strategy. Now, realize that both Honda and Nissan operate several research and manufacturing facilities in the United States. So, real estate and factories that Nissan already has that they could take over. Sure, Honda makes Odysseys, Passports, Pilots, and Ridgelines here in the United States. Nissan builds the Frontier, the Pathfinder, and the Rogues, and the Infiniti QX60s in the United States. That could be one of the big reasons that they want to merge, so they can take those over and get those things rolling better. And maybe if Honda took over, they'd have better quality control than what Nissan had. But I do have to say, when you want to compare cars and trucks, Nissan makes much better trucks than they do cars. So, hey, they might not have to improve that much. You just start mass producing more trucks and more SUVs here in the United States when they merge with Nissan. So, hey, Honda may not be as dumb as it seems by wanting to merge the two companies together. Now, here's one I can't help but laugh at. Ford reveals a special edition of its $325,000 Mustang GTD called the Spirit of America. A fancy Mustang they're going to build. 115 horsepower out of a 5.2-liter V8. That is insane. And 684 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it's called the Spirit of America, but it's $325,000. So I guess the Spirit of America is only for the ultra-rich now. Forget the middle class. We're no longer the Spirit of America. It's the rich people that are the Spirit of America. They're going to spend 325 G's on a Mustang. No. You're going to buy the $40,000 one, right? You're not going to buy the $325,000 one. And the fact that they call it the Spirit of America, that says our spirit, I guess, is only going to the rich people now. Forget the middle class. Hey, they're the ones who bought these cars in the first place. Let's make one that's $325,000. Okay, what's going on, Ford? Have you forgotten about the people that you bought your products, that made your company big? And now you want to kowtow to the ultra-rich. All these companies have this bug in their butt about making super expensive cars. And you know what it comes down to for the rest of us? We don't care. We think it's stupid. Who's going to spend that kind of money on a car, right? Other than the ultra-rich or some fool who made a bunch of money on YouTube and decides to blow it on a car. Now, here's a hilarious thing I'm laughing at. Ford CEO Farley says China operations earned $600 million in 2024 for Ford. That includes the vehicles they sold there and the vehicles that they made there and shipped to the United States, like the Lincoln Nautilus, which is made in China and they sell in the United States, right? Farley said it earned them that much money. But here's the most hilarious thing of them all. This is why you can't believe a word these people say. This is in the same article I was reading. Ford does not report earnings by regions. Well, then how do they know? He could be making the whole thing up, right? The guy says, Ford does not report earnings by region. But Farley has touted the company's evolving asset strategy in China. So they don't report it. There's no report that says, here's how Ford made $600 million, blah, blah, blah in China, right? But they don't report what money comes from what area. So we can't see the actual data. Ford doesn't report it to the public, right? But he can claim, oh yeah, we made $600 million. Are you going to believe what these people tell you? They say they don't report. So you can't look up, did Ford really make this money? Well, there's no reports from each area to say where they made money. But he says, oh yeah, we made $600 million. Come on now. Does anybody believe any of the horse manure that's coming out of these people's mouths? They say one thing, but then you say, okay, give us the data. Well, we don't release that data. Okay. Then it's a bunch of horse manure. Yeah, it's good for a laugh. Whatever they say, hey, if there's no figures backing it up, hey, you can't believe any of it. And of course, who can believe the figures even if they gave you the figures? I lived in Houston when Enron was there. They said they were making billions of dollars. No, they weren't. Our Arthur Anderson just cooked the books and made it look like they could make a bunch of money where they weren't, and then they went out of business, right? So, do I believe any of this? Of course not. If they don't even report it by region, then he says, look, in this region, we made $600 million. Well, what's that based on? Well, I think that's what we did, you know? Well, Tesla has launched a new Model Y in China to fend off the Chinese competition. Now, they make them in China, right? Now, here's the hilarious thing. It's a refreshed one, and it goes for $35,900. This is in China. Well, they start at $44,990 in the United States for the Model Y, and it's not a refreshed version. It's hilarious, right? He's ripping Americans off. He's charging almost 10 grand more for the ones over here than what he charges over there. It's insanity. Why? Well, because he wants to rip off Americans, right? And that's the lowest list price. You never get them for that price. But there's so much competition in China, he's got to start raising things up there because, hey, sales are down there. They're buying the Chinese companies, not Tesla. Now they are made in China. He's got a big factory there, right? And of course, it comes with the usual Tesla horseman. Or listen to this. Tesla showcases a unique but well localized cockpit and services ecosystem. The horse manure that flies with this company, it's enough to make you throw up. So they got a new version of it in China, not here in the United States, because they're worried about the Chinese not buying them. Nonsense of, oh, look, it's got new colored dash lights, whatever. I don't think the Chinese are going to start buying a whole bunch more of them. If anything, they'll be more nationalistic and they'll probably buy more and more of their own brands. Well, it looks like those wildfires in California get it really expensive. They said it'll probably be the most expensive blaze in the United States history. They figure it's going to cost over $20 billion to burn all the house, all the damage that it's done. Now, are they ever going to come to their common sense there and make an infrastructure where the stuff isn't going to burn down? You don't see other cities having problems like this, right? Well, they do because they got all the rich people building houses in the wrong place. If you remember years ago, the Mississippi floods many times, right? Another disaster. Well, guess what they did? In the towns that were right next to the Mississippi, some of them, they said, forget this. You're moving the whole town. You can't build back here. Right? Because it's part of the floodplain. Well, if they're going to keep having these fires, maybe people shouldn't build houses there. Let's have some common sense. Like the people who build their house right on the beach on the ocean. Then the ocean comes in a storm and wrecks their house. Well, too bad. They built on the ocean. Oh, a great place. You're right by the ocean. You're looking at it, you know? Hey, you visit the ocean, then you leave. You shouldn't live on the ocean, especially with climate change. Guess what? And if these forest fires are getting bigger and bigger, maybe people shouldn't live there in the first place. Insurance company's going to be forking out a fortune for this stuff, so the rates are going to go up all over the place for people. It makes no sense whatsoever. And yeah, you feel sorry for people that are there, but they chose to live there. They chose to live in a place that there's earthquakes and that there's fires all the time. And they obviously aren't doing very good stoppage of the fires because they keep having them. Maybe do a little better with their forestry so they can stop the fires, get rid of all the brushes and stuff, but I guess nobody wants to spend any money cleaning it up so it doesn't burn. Right? It's doable. Anything's doable. $20 billion of damage, you could do a lot of the infrastructure with $20 billion instead of just rebuilding the places right where they are and then they'll burn again. Well, Toyota, has been involved in cars for a long time. Well, now they're getting involved in cities. They're actually building that woven city in Japan, at the foothills of Mount Fuji, where all these people are going to live, and it's going to be the future world, right? They'll have self-driving electric cars. Sidewalks will have people and robots walking up and down. A drone is delivering your packages overhead because you had run out of toothpaste, but you didn't order the toothpaste. Your house is so smart, it knows you're running out of toothpaste, so it ordered it from Amazon, and it's coming in. Now, this is a real place. As of later in 2025, they're going to start populating it with humans. They're starting out with 100 people who are all going to be Toyota employees, of course. They're going to be living in this woven city. So that's going to be the city of the future. Now, of course, you wonder who's going to pay for this stuff, you know? You got people living in slums, people living on the streets. Who's paying for this woven city? You know? But, I mean, at least it's a real city. It's not like those people that lived inside that dome where they had to fake it and they had to start pumping oxygen in because they run out of oxygen. It's still outside in the real world. It's just they're trying to make a future society. Who better to do it with than the Japanese with some of the crazy stuff that they do? So if you want to live there, I guess you got to be an employee of Toyota. The first 100 people are going to be Toyota people, but It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens with it, with their woven cities. Will the robots rebel? Will it be the beginning of Terminator? Who knows? Stay tuned. Toyota's opening their woven city sometime this year in 2025. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.